All right, welcome back to the Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance Romance coming at you live from the studio. Here I am. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, Lance.
That's a long-winded one.
I know, it's a lot
That's very long-winded.
It's a lot to follow, Evan. What do you think? What do you got to say?
Well, okay, what are we drinking? But I'm not gonna fake here. Kit does not drink caffeinated things. This is all that I've drank. Most of the things on the table. There's Lance's. We've got the LaCroix.
Pronounce it.
Oh God.
Pause you.
Yes, we're just gonna go with that. We're just gonna go with Buzz. Don't worry, buddy. LaCroix put in parentheses in case you're wondering.
Watermelon.
Yeah, watermelon. That is
I can't believe they actually put that in parentheses.
a guest from a listener who stopped that by.
Oh.
Lynn Fisher dropped those off for us
you,
last
Lynn.
week.
Thank you.
Got a
Yes.
whole case of those now, so thank you, sir.
Awesome.
Yep. And on the interwebs today, Mr. Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking stream-tastic. Streaming. We're streaming here, guys.
Nice.
And I'm drinking Spindrift.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. I was
Now
expecting
you
you to
know.
be drinking a Monster, Matt, as Matt is streaming.
Yeah. That's right. That's what streamers do,
I
right?
think it's what
Red
streamers
Bull?
drink. Yeah.
Red Bull and Monster.
It's 2 a.m. here.
That's right.
We've got a special guest in the studio with us today, all the way from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado, Mr. Kit Hinder.
Hey friends, thanks for having me.
What's up, bud?
Just enjoying a nice little weekend with my best bud.
I just found this guy on the side of the road actually this last week, and
You guys have known each other for years, right?
long time.
Too long.
A long time. Because I love how Kit has just been hammering Evan ever since
yeah.
he came in. It's been
this
nice.
is we're like an old married couple, as Cassie told me when I was in the car when you weren't there, and I was like, oh, me and Kit have been an old married couple since we met when we were 18.
I took my dog for a walk this weekend. My dog is
yes.
Evan, and so he was running, and I was riding a bike around him, and all the people on the shore were very confused. I said, "This is my dog."
This is my dog.
Yeah,
Evan.
every people we would every person we passed who was walking a dog, he'd say, "That's a nice dog. I have mine over here too." They were
Some laughed,
So
some didn't.
where did this beautiful relationship start?
I love this is probably the 40th time I've told this story to somebody we've met. So, Kit was on a team named Gisalo in Ohio. Is Gisalo still around?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so Gisalo's still around. It was a very fun bike racing team. Kit was by far the most vocal member of the team at that time as a young 19-year-old or whatever, 18-year-old. And I was doing my first bike race at a small criterium, Newmark Criterium in Ohio. And every time we had a teammate go off the front, I thought it was my duty as a triathlete to sit on the front of the peloton and make sure that teammate did not stay away. Anybody who knows
you
bike
heard
racing
that
knows.
right.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You heard it right.
So after 2 or 3 times of this, Kit rode up next to me and told me in perfect, explicit, laced language that I was being not smart. And then after the race,
Well, that sounds like a bike racer.
The G-rated version was, "Please don't do that anymore."
Blankety blank, dumb blank.
Exactly. And I thought, wow, I really don't like this guy. I hope I never have to see him again. And then since then, we've ridden basically all of our bike rides in Ohio together and try to visit each other as much as possible.
20-second story. The first memory that I have of Evan, because I don't remember that.
I know Kit does not. Kit does not claim that story, but it is very true.
Local time trial, ridden all alone. Somebody says, "Oh, one of our teammates crashed." Who crashed? Evan. Who's Evan? How did he crash? He was all alone. There was nobody around him.
Wait, we'd heard this story before.
I went straight over the handlebars in a time trial once and knocked
no.
myself out.
Not during the time trial, during the warm-up.
During the warm-up.
It
for the
was
time
during the
trial.
warm-up even, yes.
Jeez, Evan.
It was during the warm-up.
Hashtag triathlete.
Knocked myself out cold.
Awesome. Well, cool. Let's do a little backpedaling. Lance, we're going to save you for last because you are the only one who raced this past week. Well, Evan kind of raced.
I kind of raced.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Evan
yeah.
kind of raced.
Barely
Lance
raced.
Lance
Kinda
raced.
raced.
Evan kind of
Yeah.
A
raced.
Strava race, if that counts.
Yeah. Matt, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. I had a good week. I've been, putting in, I guess, just like a reasonable amount of training. Like, I'm really happy with the kind of rhythm pattern that we got going. Running
Good.
a couple times a week, swim a couple times a week, and biking, 4 or 5 times a week. And I rode outside with Sean and Shelly, who are friends of the podcast. And it was just one of those Saturdays, which was glorious sun. And I think all of us rode outside. All of us, even our special guest, rode outside on Saturday. And we don't get great weather very often. So it was fantastic.
It was a great day. Cool.
It was nice. Super nice.
was.
I did flat, but that just means you're out there for longer. So
That's what
it's
Sean
kinda
and
like,
Shelly
all
were
right.
telling me. You did flat, yes. So, and then
Yeah.
Cassie was telling me she went after your roads KOM.
Yeah, the
QOM,
welcome to
yeah.
the yeah.
Yep.
I assumed that she got it. I didn't check.
She was close, and she wants to go back now. So
She
yeah.
didn't get
She
what's
didn't
up,
get it?
ladies and gentlemen.
She did not get it. So
Who's
she
got the KOM?
What?
She told me the woman's name. I forget the name already. We're gonna have to look at that. Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't believe it. I can't believe she
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, I had to park for her, and she kind of came through. She could have taken that turn a lot faster. She didn't.
That's
you know,
where she said
she
she
didn't do it
lost it.
stupid. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Evan.
Yeah, no,
Like
no.
Lance
Lance
would've.
would take that corner. Lance would have probably killed himself on that corner.
I've taken
was
that
there, like,
corner
checking
so
traffic.
fast
So
before
fast.
that I question all my life choices.
Yeah.
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 I could see
Oh,
that.
you've definitely taken it like at like 40, I would guess.
Yeah.
Oh my
Not
god.
And she was probably at like under 20, so
yeah.
not acceptable.
We
No.
have to fight another
We'll do it
day.
again.
She'll
Yeah,
get it
we can
next
do it
time.
again.
She'll get it next
She'll
time.
get it, no problem. I thought for sure she had it.
Yeah.
So how about a tandem back pedal from you two guys across the
Oh,
table?
This is
yeah.
fun. This is fun. So, Kit came into town for Friday.
Some point
Friday.
this week.
Yeah,
Sure.
Friday.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got Kit a bike from David Goodman. He's riding David's rain bike, which is awesome. And on Saturday, we were able to go to the group ride, the Dial group ride. And it was just, I mean, it was a beautiful day for one, but of course, if Kit's coming into town, I'm not just going to take him on like a Tory ride. Like, I want to make sure I make him really hurt and feel
on
terrible.
somebody else's bike
And
that's
just
too
feel
small for you.
terrible the entire time. This is payback for when Kit took me on a gloriously beautiful ride when I came to Colorado a couple years ago. And I was on your bike and Shimano pedals and barely able to clip in and out because I'm an idiot and only to use speed play. And he took me on a gravel climb on a road bike that was incredibly long, and I was absolutely tanking and felt terrible.
Evan complained there may have been crying. And
Yeah.
He said, "Oh my gosh, I
Yeah, it
can't
was terrible.
crash."
Yeah, it was so bad. I was absolutely shattered by the end of that ride. And so we have a blast Saturday. We hammer up the Larch as fast as we can, which ended up not being nearly fast enough. Beef Mountains is really strong right now.
My guy,
And-
man, he's
Oh God,
ripping pedals off right
he's
now.
he's destroying pedals. He had about a 10-second gap on me that I couldn't have closed if my life depended on it. Kit did yell very loudly at me though as Mike was starting to pull away from me.
This time G-rated things.
Yeah, mostly
Sure.
G-rated things, and I almost closed the gap from that. But you would have needed to yell at me 40 more times as we went along for that to last. And then Sunday we rode in the rain until our socks were completely soaked and freezing. So that was about. Oh, on Sunday we did get yelled at by somebody in their truck.
With a cute dog.
With a very cute dog. We should have commented on his dog because his dog was adorable. But outside of that, this morning we did a track workout where Kit took some awesome pictures and he lunged because Kit doesn't like to run because he is an actual cyclist and hates running more than anything. So
Bears and pretty women. I run away from both of them.
yes.
That's a man after my own heart.
Exactly. Yeah.
BFF.
Lan-
Yeah, BFF.
Kit has done a half Ironman too and has pledged to never do one ever again. So the years and
That
years ago
sounds
he did.
familiar as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that was basically the last 3 days. Yeah.
Do you concur with that? Is there anything that Evan may have missed out on that you can share with us?
On the top of the second kind, Gilson.
Gibson.
Gibson.
He has to name
It's
that
close
thing
enough.
incredibly.
Nobody else cares.
Yeah.
So second climb, Les Paul. We are going up next to each other, and Evan swears that it's all my fault because I came up next to him, which is not true. There are many rollers. Unlike here in Colorado, it's pretty much all up, and then you go all down. Here,
Yeah.
it's very much rolling.
Yeah.
So on one of the rollers, I come from the back, and I'm ready to attack Evan, and he slides over to make sure that I couldn't come through.
Yeah, I did it on purpose.
him,
It was
huh?
for sure. Yeah.
I think
Pinched
he
him
had
very hard.
eyes in the back of his head.
Pinched him very hard. Yeah.
I've felt at a distinct disadvantage all weekend, not
Yes.
knowing any of the roads.
It just meant Evan's glasses were fogged over. He couldn't see what he
There
was
you
doing.
go. Exactly.
Nice. Hey, Hep,
Yeah,
you raced your bicycle.
I did. I raced my bike.
Remember when the back pedal was all about bike racing? We all used to have race reports.
We
Now
used
it's
to
just
have
Lance.
lots of racing, and now it's just me.
Because you got time to travel states away to
'Cause,
go race bicycles.
Jeez, yeah, I'm riding all over the place.
There you go. What's up?
Yeah, so I did Voodoo Racing mountain bike race at the Henry Trails Ridge, which is in Seattle. It's in between Seattle and Tacoma. It's in a little town called Maple Valley. So beautiful trails, very sticky, nice dirt. It was dryish, which made it nice.
For Seattle, that's rare this
time.
But
I raced the Cat 1 category again this time, and I got my butt handed to me.
We're proud of you.
That's okay, though.
I ended up, I took 10th overall.
That's overall, and you say you got your butt handed to you.
Well,
how many people were there? If there was 11 there, maybe. Okay, but there wasn't 11 there, right?
I was like 120 or something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying not to brag on myself
like
too
the
much. I
top
already
eight.
sound like a braggart.
We expect podium here or nothing. Podium or nothing, okay?
I did not podium. So even though I was 10th overall, I was 4th 50 plus.
Okay. So barely off the podium even there,
So
too.
I missed the podium there, too.
Real
And
quick, the person who won the 50 plus, where did they rank overall?
he was 5th.
Okay.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah,
strong.
right behind Felipe Nystrom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Felipe was there, huh?
Yeah, Felipe showed up.
How did he do? He crushed?
He took 4th, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did pretty well, too. But he's been racing all over
Everywhere.
the
world.
country. Yeah, right now, too. He even came up to me. He's like, did I hear that you won the Shasta Gravel Hugger? And I'm like, thank you for paying attention, Felipe. I feel important now. I did. Yes, I did.
And I will not tell you that people took a wrong hand turn. We're just going to pretend like I dropped them all. Okay.
Yes, I was super strong all day. And
I
did
dropped
not,
the chase back.
Yep. So, yeah, the race, it really kind of did a number on me. I was expecting it to be about an hour and 15-minute race for me, and it was an hour 45 or hour 47, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I was at threshold for almost 2 hours. So I kind of started to kind of tail off a little bit. So, that's okay. It's been, I will say this, moving on from the race, yesterday was day 225 days riding in a row. I'm taking today off.
Really?
You sent that text out to me and Sean last night, and there was like a collective cheer from all of us. Like, finally, he's going to stop.
At this point, I'm joking. I'm completely joking. I told you you needed a day off years ago.
I'm ruined. I'm starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
It's too much. I've ridden every single day since last July without missing a single day.
What you should do is go for a swim.
Lance, are we supposed to believe you that you're really going to take a day off?
I'm taking
This is a
today
perfect
off.
ploy. This is a perfect ploy to like get you the rest of the guys to take some time off, and then you're just going to be like, oh yeah, by the way, guys.
Well,
I'm
ride
not
a
taking
little.
today off.
Jake's not taking today off. Jake's like
You wanna ride over to the
19 days
waterfront?
behind me or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I've been having issues.
Yeah, I'm going to come up to day 225, and I'll finish the ride that day, and then it's going to be, hey, Lance, do I one-up you? Do I lance you and go for 226 just to say that I beat you by one?
I would deserve it if you lanced me, so I would feel okay.
But the
about
question
that.
mark is what's Sean going to do?
I don't know. Sean's still on day 205 or something like that.
We're
too?
exactly the same. We
Yeah.
started the same day.
That's pretty crazy.
You just cheated and started early. You
I
didn't take the
started
day
early.
off before.
I did not.
Cheater.
I had to have something up on you guys.
Cheater.
It's stupid. What I've been doing is stupid. You have to take a day off a week
Please
just to let the fitness soak in. So I'm either going to get like super fit in the next week,
Or you're going to
or I'm just going to go
shatter.
down
Yeah,
the
you're just going
drain.
to shatter. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, so I've been having back issues all week. I think the hard gravel race the week before did more of a number on me than I expected.
Yeah.
Plus, I got dose 1 of the vaccine this week, and I think that affected me a little bit.
Yeah, you're going to
A lot of things piling up on you there.
So I after the race yesterday, I couldn't even drive home. I had to sleep in my van for an hour.
You need a hug, brother.
I do need
Yeah.
somebody hug me.
Muscle soreness is no joke after that vaccine dose, too. You're not going to want to do like intervals the day after the second one either.
No. So, yeah, it's been interesting. Other than that, I'm just I spent quite a bit of time filming on my bike this last week.
Yep.
Jake and I are trying to put together a little video comparing the Garmin to the Wahoo, and so I was doing all this filming. I went out one day and I rode a whole VO2 interval set, holding a GoPro over the top of the two cameras. I'm like riding it like 400 watts trying to GoPro. And I did this whole interval workout. And I went home, and it turned out I was only taking pictures. I wasn't taking video. I completely screwed it up. So I had to go out the next day and do it all again. So I'm an idiot, just like all of you out there. I totally screwed it up.
Don't classify them as idiots. I think that's
I'm the idiot
for you.
I'm only the idiot at the table.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was what happened.
Cool.
That's it. Enough of me.
Mine real quick, because I didn't race. Because we don't race anymore. We finished up our Zwift season. 21 weeks in a row of doing Zwift Tuesday night team rides, and those are done. And that was fun. I'm just glad they're done, because you know why? Time change. Daylight saving, not S.
Daylight savings time?
Punch you in the face. Is here, and we're gonna start. Actually. We're gonna start up our group ride or team ride outside on Wednesday nights.
Fantastic.
So, by the end of the podcast, I want you guys to help me name said ride. We can't use worlds or anything like that. That's already kind of taken. And I don't know, we need to come up with something. I put it out there. I don't know what, a month ago. Called it the Fluffy Bunny Ride.
And people are like, "Oh, is this going to be like our easy Fog Hat Friday ride?"
Social ride?
No, it's going to be the absolute opposite of that. It's going to be tear each other's legs off type ride. We're trying to come up with a good name for it.
Yeah.
And, Tuesday triathlon.
Oh no!
Triathletes are welcome.
No,
no. Time trial bikes.
clip on road aero bars.
Clip on aero bars. Welcome. Sounds good. Sounds lovely, guys.
Awesome.
I want to go to that ride.
UCI Super Tuck fully allowed. Yeah.
Easily though, the highlight of the week was that team ride that we did on Saturday. That was spectacular.
Oh yeah.
Fun. It was a beautiful day. It was fun climbing, and we had quite a few people out there.
It was awesome.
It was a big group.
It was good to see where, some of the younger kids' fitness is right now, too. It was just a blast to watch.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah.
So looking forward to many more of those to come in.
I had serious FOMO all Saturday morning because I was not out there with you guys.
I know. And this is with all of Lance's races. I've just been drooling to drop you once on something, and it would have been the perfect opportunity.
I wanted to go so bad, and I thought I'll just
kid
kit up and I'll roll out there and I'll just do the beginning. I'm like, no, if I go out there, I'm going to go full blast and I'm going to completely ruin my race. So I stayed in my pajamas past 9 a.m. so that I would not go out there and ride with you guys.
Well played.
I missed it.
Yep, that was the week. So let's do some lead out news, I think. Yeah, let's do the lead out news now.
No.
Champ Bailey, are you here?
Oh, we can. Me and Kit are prepared for this.
What?
Gosh dang it.
Kit gets to take over for all of my stuff here.
So, what's going on? Are we doing this whole Champ Bailey thing anymore, or are we done with that?
This is your show, Jake. We're merely the talent.
Oh,
Champ Bailey.
There you go.
Top 5? I think he's in the top 5 discussion. I mean, I'm not just going to go out
You're
crazy.
a Champ
Hall of
Bailey.
Famer.
Probably from Denver, right?
Kit
Hall
does
of
not.
Famer.
Champ Bailey. Which sports ball?
Sports balls. Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey here. We're sportsing.
I was about to make the comment, there's zero chance the kid knows who Champ Bailey is, but
How many home runs did he hit?
yes, exactly.
That was easy.
No, he was a bowler. No,
All right, lots of fantastic racing this last week. There were 2 stage races going on.
Really?
Yes. Paris-Nice was happening, and Tirreno Adriatico. Tirreno
Come on,
Adriatico.
the Italian of the table's got it. Jeez.
Tirreno Adriatico.
Not even close, Lance. God.
I'm embarrassing myself. Paris-Nice, super exciting. Lots of good stuff happening. Primoz Roglic was kind of dominating that race. He won a couple stages, and then the final day of the race came in. He pulled a Roglic. How do we say that?
This is becoming a little bit of a habit for him.
It was so disappointing. Okay,
Those are bad crashes.
Roglic had a 54-second lead over Max Schumann. And it really should have been just a normal.
Can we press pause on that and go
What?
back to the day prior to that and discuss whether or not we think that he should or should not have given that?
Yeah, let's go back to the day before.
Yeah, just real quick before you summarize the whole race.
Okay, so the day before, there was a solo breakaway rider that was out front for like 40K or something like that.
Young Swiss kid, Gino Madler.
Thank you. I had no idea who that was. He was killing it, getting all his TV time, and it looked like he was going to hold off the group. And, oh, my gosh, Roglic turned it on at the end. They were reeling him in, and I think he He pipped him at
He
the
pipped him in
line
the
by
last
like
20 meters. It was
it's
at
like
the very
20
end.
meters. It was literally like seconds.
Yeah, the poor kid had been out front for an hour or so, whatever, by himself, and gets pipped in the last 20 meters.
He gets pipped, and so was that a cool thing for Roglic to do, or is
Yeah,
that just
100%.
racing?
If you can win a race, you win a
Absolutely.
race. You don't
Yeah.
give anything away. And I wouldn't want to be in a position where somebody handed me a race.
No.
Like, I can beat you, but you go ahead and finish first.
Oh,
Yeah. Have we learned nothing from Marco Pantani, as Kit reminded me over the weekend?
well,
Marco Pantani hated Lance Armstrong for like his entire life because he let him win a stage once.
well, didn't Roglic? Roglic is the one who won the race when Alaphilippe posted up too early.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's
Roglic races
did it
the
once
line. I
before.
mean, he's a robot, but he races the line. So, yeah.
Pretty crazy. All right. So moving on to Sunday. It's not that long of a race. It actually didn't finish in Nice because I don't know, COVID or something.
Yeah.
And so when it came 25K into the race, Roglic crashes. There's no video of it because it wasn't part of the live feed at that point,
Maybe
so
a
we don't know really what happened.
Chunk of his jersey missing, his left
His whole left cheek,
cheek
was hanging out.
Yeah.
He actually dislocated his shoulder during.
Oh, did what?
Yep. He dislocated the shoulder during the fall.
God.
I'm not sure. I think he just popped it back in and jumped on his
Probably.
bike.
That sounds like something he would
Those
do at this
Slovenians.
point.
Yeah,
There's something in the water
Slovenians.
there.
So he gets back on the bike. His team comes back and helps pull him back in.
Yeah.
The peloton kind of eased up, knowing that Roglic crashed because it was early in the race, and so okay, fantastic. But he spent his team trying to get back into the peloton. Then with like 25K to go, a brake goes up the road, and so the race is on at this point. Roglic crashes again on the other side. So now both butt cheeks are hanging out. of
Slightly
his-
less cheeky on the right side,
Yes.
though. Very slightly. Yeah.
So he crashes again, and
he almost crashed a third time. Did you remember we were watching?
He was playing hokey pokey with
Yeah.
his butt cheeks.
Yeah.
he
And
was like messing with him, or
And there was there was a descent turn too, where whoever's line he was following took one of the worst lines into a left-hander I think you'll ever see, and the guy like just stopped going straight, and Roglic had to like clip out and touch the barrier almost to keep himself from going off the edge. Yeah,
He took an Evan line into that corner.
he did. He took a line from somebody that wears glasses. That is for sure, and
his
it was
glasses
not good.
were fogged
His
up.
glasses were very fogged going into that line. But
So Roglic crashes again. At this point, nobody's waiting because there's a break up the road. The race,
the
was
race
on.
is on.
His teammates came back to try to pace him back again, but he used him up, and it gapped, and he ended up losing 3 minutes to the leader. Instead of he started the day 54 seconds in the lead, and he ended up out of the top 10.
Off the podium, yeah.
Not,
just out of the top 10.
Not out of the top 10.
Ooh.
So it was kind of a ugly
Primos. Yeah.
day. But, you
It's
know,
Perry Nice. Who cares?
he showed
Brad Wiggins cares.
Brad Wiggins definitely.
he showed great class again. He went right up to Schumann and
Yeah.
congratulated him, just like he did at the Tour de France last year. You know,
Isn't there an old curse with Perry Nice that if you win Perry Nice, you're not going to win the Tour?
Unless you're Brad Wiggins.
Unless you're Brad Wiggins. Yeah, exactly. So Brad Wiggins the only guy he's doesn't count.
so lots of questions about Roglic, whether he is cursing himself or whatnot.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Torino.
Adriatico.
MVP still rides bikes fast. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much exciting racing
yeah.
with that.
The heavy hitters were definitely in Torino this
Yeah.
year, which was interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't go to Perry Nice and they went to Torino. But
And
yeah.
it's not over yet. I think there's another time
There is.
trial. There's
It's
like
over.
It's over. Okay.
after
thank you.
today.
No, I mean it's not.
It's
the
not-
race is
the
not
race
over,
isn't
but he's
over.
got a minute 15 lead with 2 stages.
Pogača is in the lead.
Oh, he's done.
with
Yeah.
a sprint stage and a TT.
in a TT, yeah.
It's
so
11
it's
kilometer TT.
It's over, something like that. But oh my gosh, Vanderpool, what he did on what was like 2 days ago,
Stage 4.
stage 4, yeah,
I
stage
could be
4.
wrong on that. I think it was stage 4.
They were all together. It was kind of a rainy day.
It was a terrible day.
It was a
Yeah,
terrible
very rainy
day. With 60K to go. Vanderpool just went, I'm cold, and just took off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he held off the whole group.
Yeah.
He went on a solo breakaway for 60K
Yep.
and won the race. Now,
Pogača tried to reel him in and got close.
he got within
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Very close.
So he got very close, but and Vanderpool was just ruined afterwards. Like
Yeah.
on his, just like I've never been so deep. So whatever
Yeah.
he did for 60K, pretty crazy. It was
Wow.
crazy fun racing to watch. Great races to watch.
We're going to see. I mean, he's hitting. I mean, God, how long of a peak can you hold right now? Because he's been at this fitness right now for a month.
Well, longer than that.
Longer
He was
than that.
Probably. I
Pretty
mean,
sharp
this,
for the cross
for
season.
cyclocross season
Yeah.
He
too.
won the World Championship cyclocross.
I mean, he's gonna have to have a time period where his fitness is gonna drop off here soon. He's got
Well,
to.
I think that the talk is that he wants to do the Olympics. He's focusing on the Olympics.
Yeah.
And so
It's like in July.
yeah, he is going to the Tour de France, but for stage wins and I think it's for stage wins, not for GC. You know, he's not a GC guy really anyway.
He a sprint guy though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He'll
so
just try and get stages. Yeah, I mean that's still you gotta be.
at some point, he's got to take some time off. Don't ride 225 days in a row.
No.
Vanderpool. It's
Yeah.
dumb.
His people are going to call your people
They're
to
pretty-
get
yeah.
that number.
yeah.
Just for grins
How many
and
days
giggles.
was it again?
Just for grins and giggles.
Yeah.
Him or Bennett when it comes to the green jersey. If Vanderpool wanted to.
Oh,
he
if Vanderpool
wanted
wanted to.
to
Well,
focus on green jerseys.
Alpecin Phoenix is not gonna be able to support him, but I don't think it matters.
He can surf just like
He can
Sagan.
surf
He-
like
I don't think it
Sagan.
matters. He'd win.
do you
it.
think he could win and
He'd
take
win
the
it.
green if he wanted to?
Absolutely.
Do you think that they would focus on that?
Yeah.
'Cause that's more
what else are they
important-
gonna focus on?
That's
yeah.
more important than just a couple stage wins, right? I mean, he'll get a stage
Yeah.
win or two,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I think Vanderpool would just be somebody who's like, I'm just going to start getting to breaks, and I'm just going to snipe him that way, and then
but
Bennett and
Sagan of old, yes.
yeah, and then Bennett would have to be on it all the time.
And he can only do that for so long.
Yeah,
He's too big of a guy.
he definitely doesn't climb well. So, yeah,
He
Interesting.
looked pretty good at
He did.
Perry Nice there.
Bennett
did.
looked
for a
really
while.
strong. Yeah,
He,
I mean,
he
considering
won a
he-
race on the hoods.
Yeah,
He out sprinted.
let out his own sprint.
He let out his own sprint
and
and
the
then
three
won it on the
sprinters
hoods.
around him just hung on his wheel. I like how in one of those sprints it was like you got his three guys on his wheel. I think one of them was Nasir Bilani too, who should be able to swing around him. And you got Bilani's just like sitting there. He's like, "No, I'm just gonna third's good.
Yeah,
we're just
I'll
gonna.
take third."
I don't want to touch this wind. I don't."
Matt, you're being awfully quiet.
I got you guys on mute. I muted myself.
I don't think Matt watched Barry Nice or Torino this last.
I glanced at the news on like the Velo News articles to see who like won, and that's it. I didn't watch any of it.
Matt,
But-
I got to go coach the kids. So this is all you. You have to be me now because the kid's not allowed to be me. So that's you. Please.
We need
please
to
hold on for
probably
the
we
traffic.
should
I'll be
probably
back.
have a triathlon takeover moment and talk about the race in
Yeah.
Florida and the Miami race.
Oh, you have
Bike
to do
racing
that for
is
me
done,
because
so
I've got to head out
triathlon.
here. Wait a minute. No, I got 1 minute. Okay. So
No, you can
Shall-
you could at least go over the headlines.
yeah.
Headlines.
So Challenge Miami. It was an awesome race for one. The return of the GOAT. I completely misguessed. I said Jan Frodeno was not even going to be a factor in the race, which was the dumbest statement I probably made in all of my predictions ever. And
I beg to
Jan,
differ.
no, this one was close because he dominated this
He
race.
completely crushed
He
it.
completely crushed it. My thing was like, no, he's not even going to be top 5. So he,
Yeah, we had a bet for like if he was going to make podium or not or something.
yeah,
And it
I
was like-
clearly was not right. I was right though on Lionel Sanders on his heels by about 2 minutes, which
Yeah.
is not really on his heels, but Lionel ran out of his mind. He biked smart for once in his life and actually had not a bad swim. So Lionel Sanders is in some great fitness.
I might have said something like, I don't think Lionel's going to make the podium. I don't remember what I said.
And
I
then
said
we
a lot
were
of dumb
also
things.
wrong on Ben Canute, who came in third. And I had said Ben Canute wasn't even going to be in the top 10. So we had an American in the top 3, which was awesome. Ben Canute went out and had a great run, ran himself into third place. Matt Hansen had the fastest run of the day, but struggled on the swim and bike. And
Right.
it made for an interesting race. So the women's race, Jody Stimpson, who was my pick for Daytona, which probably should have saved that pick for Miami, because then I said, oh, Jody's not going to be a factor in Miami. So I'm the kiss of death on anybody I say if they're not going to do something. They're definitely going to do it. Lucy
Lucy Charles got second.
yeah, and she looked strong, but I'll tell you what, Jody's a strong runner, and that Lucy
knows.
continues to her weakest point from her level, which should be world championship, is she can't outrun the best. Whether it's
Right.
Annie
She
Hogg,
also spotted the field 2 minutes.
she did. Whether it's,
With a
but in my
penalty.
opinion, whether it's Annie Hogg, Jody, or Daniela,
Yep.
she gets beat
They
in that
always
run.
outrun her.
So I hope that her run looks fast though. So I hope it continues to improve.
Yeah, she looked strong. She looked good, you know. And then
All right, folks, that was me.
Jackie
Matt, you got
Jackie
this.
Hearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jackie Hearing was third. There was who is that like no name? I mean, not to call her no name girl, but like there was a girl that led the race like the whole time. I can't remember what her name was. Yeah, something Perez. Anyway, cool stuff. Great race. They're let anything go in Texas and in Florida. Any races. So if that's where you want to race, that's what you need to do. You need to move that direction.
One of those two states.
One of those are your options. Unless you're Lance, and then you just go wherever you want to, and you throw them out.
Just get in the van and drive until you're tired, you sleep, and wake up and race bikes. That's what you do.
Right on. Anything else, Matt, from the triathlon world?
No, that's all I heard.
Champ Bailey out.
Champ here. I'm all about having fun. You know, get a couple of cocktails in me, start a fire in someone's
drinking now,
kitchen.
Champ?
Maybe go to SeaWorld, take my pants
Watermelon.
off.
Ah, gotcha. Right on. All right. Patreon.
Patreon update.
There's a new T-shirt, BMC Oars T-shirt in the bin.
Oh, I like that T-shirt.
That's a nice, comfortable shirt.
Actually, my son just said, "Dad, where'd you get that shirt? It's got a cool bear on the back." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "You got to be cool." Sorry, son.
So there's a few other items in there, and again, it's going to be another week of a grab bag. So if you are the Patreon of the week, you can come in and pick out your thing. So whatever's there, you can pick. So that's just one of the new things that's in there. Lance has got the little jar o' names for all of our Patreons, who are a bunch of wonderful people that support the show. Awesome. Kid's pulling one out of the thing here. It's probably going to be
Rob Buck.
Rob Buck.
It's not. Hold on.
Champ Bailey.
Oh, my
gosh,
God.
dang it.
We got to take that
It's
out.
Champ.
Of
That's
okay.
me.
Okay, so Champ, you don't get another shirt, bud.
No. Champ Bailey has not
Disclosed.
his actual identity.
Or her identity.
Or her identity, so he doesn't win anything.
But Champ has an alter ego in there, too. So
the real
hopefully
Champ Bailey.
Yeah.
Did you pick out?
Scott Turteman.
Troutman.
Didn't Troutman just win not too long ago?
Troutman won like 3 weeks
I don't.
ago.
We got to maybe start pulling some people's names out of the hat here, so other people have a
We'll do
chance
that
to win.
before, and we'll stage it.
Yeah, there you
That
go.
way we get new winners.
Scott Troutman, come on down.
Come get your BMC Oars T-shirt, which
or
is really cool.
anything else out of the bin that you want to pick. But for everybody who's supporting the show, we really deeply do appreciate that, and thank you. It is helping us do bigger and better and greater things. So like this whole live stream, that's helping us do that as well.
Yes, it
so
is.
if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, go to dialpodcast.com, click on the Patreon link, and choose your pleasure there. There's a couple different options. Maybe we can finally one of these days get a corporate Patreon too. There's options for those folks if they want to sponsor the show.
That would
Did
be
you know
nice.
that? Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool. So cool. Let's jump into the topic for the day. Hey, Lance, where did they go?
Where did they go?
Matt, did you know where they went? No.
No.
Did
He's
they go to
just shaking
Colorado?
his head.
They're not in Colorado.
They're not in Colorado. That's our question for this week. It's our topic. It's where did they go? And by they, we're referring to
The
Bike
races, the sponsors.
Bike racers, bike promoters, bike racers,
yeah.
all of that
All
stuff.
that stuff.
What happened?
Where are they? We've got Kit in the studio with us today, and he hails from Colorado. Did you mention how you landed in Colorado? How long you've been there?
I've been there 7 years,
Okay.
and I moved there after I was living in Europe because I like the weather in Colorado. Don't
Gotcha.
like rain.
What were you doing in Europe?
Just teaching at the International School of Luxembourg.
Oh, really? Teaching
Pretty
French?
No, international. Watermelon.
No, teaching international.
Social studies.
Okay.
It was for wealthy expatriates of mostly England.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So Kit's from the Colorado area now for 7 years, and you also do a little bit of bike racing there. You do some coaching
Yeah.
for
High school mountain bike stuff.
Okay. And then you're familiar with the race organization there as well as USA Cycling. So he's going to bring a perspective as to what's going on in Colorado. We just talked to Justin Wagner last week, who gave us a little bit of insight on what's going on in Utah. And Lance has been doing a little bit of racing in Utah.
Yep.
And we also kind of have a little bit of knowledge about what's going on here in the southern Washington and Oregon area. So we've kind of got this whole West Coast to Pacific Northwest and a little bit of Colorado vibe going on. So we want to go through these questions as to where is everybody, what's going on with the state of racing. We're kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel with the COVID stuff, but and there's a bazillion people out there riding bikes now, but where are they? It doesn't feel like there's a big line out the door for bike racing.
There is a reason that I have been sleeping in my van every single weekend
Yeah.
because there's no races here in Portland, so I'm going other places to race my bike.
Gotcha. So let's start with races in general. And well, let me ask you another question, Matt. You can speak to the triathlon world. Are you seeing kind of the same thing here for the Pacific Northwest? Is there stuff on the calendar here locally that's coming up? I mean, we usually start to see like the Beaver Freezer, and then there's a couple other little early season races. Are you seeing those? Or?
I think everyone is trying to basically wait and see what's going to happen. And so my theory is that like right now, like if the question is like what's on the calendar right now, it's like not much, but I think everything's going to basically like fill in, over the end of the summer, basically and I'm like you, Jake, I'm optimistic. I think, the vaccines are rolling out. I think that people are going to be able to race. And I think it's just going to be the second half of the summer where we actually see, race promoters that are hesitant about all of the virtual racing say, hey, this is scheduled for virtual, but we can do a real race. Let's do it and put it on and get the permits. Because it all comes down to getting permits with a lot of the cities or, counties or whatever locations that people are setting these things up. And right now, I just don't think you can get the permits. But I do think that that's going to change.
Gotcha. I don't know about getting permits for bike racing. I know that, we've seen a couple little things happen here. Like you just did the Shasta Gravel Hugger, and that was in Northern California, but
it was a very rural part of California, just over the Oregon border. And so their permit was limiting to groups of 50.
Gotcha.
So it was the socially distant, packet pickup. So we were very careful about that. And then there was 350 people in the race or 400 people in the race.
Sure.
And we went off in waves of 50.
That didn't last long, though.
No.
That's because Lance was there and he's tearing people's legs off.
Oh, there was like a dynamic in that race, and I think you might have talked about this last week in the podcast, but somebody dropped their chain from the lead group, and they put their chain back on and came blasting through the second wave, which is the wave that you were in, and everybody thought that was somebody breaking away from that particular group, and everybody's like, hey, we're going to go get him, and then all of a sudden, y'all went.
I was in the 50-plus wave,
sure,
and there was the open everybody else wave, and they started 40 seconds ahead of us.
Yeah.
And so, we were in the neutral area where we were staying behind a neutral car or a neutral motorcycle. And, somebody from the front wave dropped their chain. He fixed his chain. Yeah, just like you said. Once he got his bike rolling again, he whipped past the bike, and all the people up front who didn't know who he was thought, well, I guess it's game on. And so just like that, both the waves were all together.
Go get some. So, Matt, what's the earliest race that you know of that's on the calendar for this year, or are there any here in the Portland area?
Well, okay, there is, let's see, there's a race in, here's the thing, I don't know that these are really going to happen, and that's my hesitation to say something like this.
Sure.
But June 5th and 6th, there's a race at Hag Lake. So that's a local triathlon race that's scheduled to happen. I don't know if it'll happen. Again, it's scheduled there. I'm not 100% positive that I think it'll happen. And then, right after that, there's kind of what they call like a PDX triathlon. That's July 17th. There's another race that's called the Pacific Crest Endurance kind of like weekend festival thing. And that's typically in Sunburn. Changing locations this year. That's supposed to be like June 18th through the 20th. That's another one where it's like they don't even have a location scheduled, much less, I'm sure they don't have the permits for it as well. And like close to us, they have this Lucky Triathlon Festival that's in late July. And then, Jake, you've been out to see that Columbia River Triathlon.
Yeah.
That's scheduled for August 13th and 14th. Cool race. It's a great race. They also do that Girlfriends Triathlon and kind of along with that, kind of the same weekend.
Same weekend, yep.
It's just, and that's one of those things where it's like, I think that's kind of when triathlon is going to be able to happen and they'll be able to get permits and things like that. Maybe that one in the Lucky Triathlon, kind of like late summer. That's my guess as to what they'll be able to get permits for. I don't know if they'll be able to get permits for the other things.
It sounds like they might be condensing the schedule down a little bit, but still trying to get as many races in as they possibly can. Do you think that will cause some attrition with respect to people saying, oh, that's just too much, too soon, too close to each other?
Well, what I think so this comes down to like the promoters making the call on like what to do.
Yeah.
And what I think they're doing is kind of scheduling stuff as usual. I think they may have lopped off like a race or two, but I think they're kind of scheduling it, and then they're going to play if this doesn't happen, we're going to change it to virtual thing, which it's not great, but it's the company that puts on the local races are just like, they are very good people. They're good to the athletes in this particular area, especially when we have this stark comparison with, Ironman branded events.
Yeah.
And so it's like you want them to do exactly what they're doing, which is like schedule it and, we'll figure out a plan if we can't make it happen. So I think that's the plan of action here in this particular local area for triathlons. I think that you'll see people probably not sign up until the last minute because, then you know what's going to happen. If you don't know now, you're like, why would you sign up super early for something? And that's been my recommendation for people even for the Ironman races. They're like, hey, I want to sign up for this Ironman race. And I'm like, I wouldn't just hand over your money like that because there's a very good chance you're not going to see that money again. And, you're probably not going to get to race. Who knows? And maybe you will. I just think I'm optimistic about races in the latter part of the summer, but I'm not willing to gamble a lot of money on it. So,
what's the appetite from the community like right now? You're pretty close with a lot of people, and you've got your triathlon channel on YouTube, and I'm sure you hear from a lot of people. Is everybody super hungry for as much as they can possibly get in terms of triathlon racing?
It's like 50-50. I think there's a big part of the group that's just like, I am signing up for races even if it's not going to happen, and they did that last summer, and it was like, yeah, these races aren't going to happen, but like I'm signing up anyway, and they just really, really want to race, and willing to travel, like willing to go wherever there's races. Like I'll fly to Arizona even if the race, you show up there and the race gets canceled. Same thing happened in Texas. People they really are starved for races. They're like Lance, right? They're just willing to just be stupid.
Yes.
But I think that there's another set of group, and even pro triathletes that are like, man, it was great not having to race for a year and just like focus on training, focus on getting, some stuff done, like focus on exploring new options, whether that's gravel biking. I've seen a whole bunch of triathletes kind of say like, hey, there's other things besides time trialing, and it's kind of nice to kind of broaden the horizons a bit. And so, I don't know. I think I'm curious, like Evan's kind of in the middle of those two people where I think he's disappointed that he didn't get to race much last year. I think he's in good shape, but I also think that he's, was doing some cool challenges that were fun for him, and that he was excited about doing something different and got to explore, again, same kind of stuff. He got to explore a lot of gravel riding and stuff like that, where he probably wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. Well, but now he's going to. Yeah. I think he's going to Galveston in a month.
4 weeks, yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
4 weeks,
Also
yeah. So soon. Some people call it that, but yeah, it's So I think he's eager to race, but I also think that there's this like, I'm a firm believer in kind of like racing yourself into shape a little bit, or like, and this is perfect for cyclists, right? Where it's like, you do that first race or two just to kind of get back into the groove of racing. The first race is never pretty. But hopefully it's different for Evan, so we'll see.
Gotcha. Huh. Kit, what's it like in Colorado right now? What's the sentiment? You probably are running in the circles of racers because you're coaching them, and you probably have to deal with the promoters and the race organizations there. What's the temperature of the room like there in Colorado?
There's a lot of energy, and the way I would describe it is the path of least resistance. So wherever people can get that competitive drive out is where people are gravitating towards. So the BRAC Bicycle Racing Organization of Colorado, they have realized we're not going to be able to put on races with any regularity or consistency right now, so let's invest in Zwift. And so they've started a Zwift program.
Wait, the state organization started a Zwift program.
Correct. And as far as I'm aware...
Wow, that sounds smart.
Huh.
As far as I'm aware, it's free, and you just sign on and you race, which then asks the question of...
Well, it's how you stay relevant with your membership. I mean, how are they supposed to monetize something on Zwift? I don't know. I mean, maybe if you want to have listed results or something like that, then maybe you can collect some money and you post it up on your website. But other than that, I mean, what are you going to do to get money out of your contingency if it's online with Zwift?
Yeah, before COVID, the number of race days were dropping pretty quickly, just for the cost of putting on a race.
Yeah.
So a lot of the elite racers, you hear Colorado and you think, oh, there must be a lot of really, really quick people there.
Sure.
And many people come there to train, but they don't necessarily come to race. So a lot of our fastest people take part in the NRC, the National Crit Series, National Race Calendar. So those races have been pushed further and further back into the year. So there's going to be a lot of races. We talked about that fatigue in the second half of this year. So people are holding their cards, they're getting ready, they're training, but they're trying not to get too excited about racing because they can't get their fitness too quick.
Yeah.
Or you just ride every day like an idiot.
Or for 225 days.
What is it like? Is it BRAC? Is that what you guys commonly refer to?
Mm-hmm.
What is it like work with them there? Do they have like a good outreach program for their membership? Are they doing stuff for the membership? Are they working with the promoters? Are they trying to build the bike racing community up?
So the benefit to BRAC is they own a bunch of cones and race logistical equipment.
Yeah.
And so they give that to the teams, and then the teams can use that as opposed to the team trying to own or rent or
Sure.
buy that. So that's their main emphasis. They
have a timing system as well.
Probably insurance policies as well for the races.
Yeah, so that's kind of the package that you get when you work with
Okay,
BRAC.
that sounds familiar. Is membership good there?
I think it's rapidly failing because there's more and more pop-up series of gravel races. And again, we talked about that path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So the cheapest, the easiest option for people to compete, that's where people are going to go.
And that's a pretty inexpensive way to put on a race because you're not needing necessarily flaggers. It's you just get out there. It's unsanctioned, I'm guessing, and it's a popular thing, and people really don't care about.
They're insured. They're not USAC sanctioned.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I mean, it's one of those things that you can do and be profitable. And as a promoter, I'm like, you don't want to go put on bike races and lose money. And if they can put on these big gravel events and make a few bucks so that they can, have a business a business model that's going to work, you got to stay solvent. I mean, you can't just be losing money.
Right.
And that's a pretty common thread. I think that's happening here in the state of Washington and Oregon too with the road racing scene. We're seeing less and less of them because it's cost prohibitive. It's just one of those things where it's too expensive to put on the race. The racer is not wanting to pay the fee that comes along with the race itself.
Yeah.
And the promoter doesn't want to lose money, and we're just seeing attrition.
Well, COVID was like a death blow for promoters because everything got canceled last year, most things.
Yeah.
There were some outliers in some states like Utah that just kind of said, F you, I'm running races anyway. And they were just smaller races. But to put on, I mean, there haven't been road races that really happened. There's been some in Georgia and some in Florida, and I don't think there's been road races really anywhere else. And all these promoters that were relying or doing road races, they just got dropped. You can't really do a road race time trial style. All these mountain bike races I've been doing, they've all been time trial style.
Well, in the heat of battle, you were out there doing the Belgian waffle ride. But granted, it's not a sanctioned USAC race, but everybody points to it and saying that's a great race. It's one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah, it was 400 people or 500 people, the Belgian waffle ride. Yeah, and it was a mass start.
Uh-huh.
We all started
all
at the same
400 at the same time?
Yes.
And this was in October?
It was in September.
September? Okay.
I think I don't know.
It was around that time of
It
year.
was September, October.
In the
last
fall.
year. It was last year.
What day was
I
that?
don't
Was
have
that
any
day
idea.
100?
But actually, what they did at the start, it wasn't like we all lined up 10 feet from each other. The start area was 2 blocks long. So you had to be 6 feet away from everybody else. So we were all completely spread out. But, the 8 miles of neutral pavement before we hit the gravel, we were one giant peloton. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also you couldn't take off your face covering until you were out of that initial section. So everybody had their face covering on for the first 10 miles or so.
Is that akin to like once you sit down at a table in a restaurant, it's okay to take your mask off?
Right, I know. Even though you're not eating yet. There were no cases that were traced back to the Belgian waffle ride last year. That's the data I've heard.
Yep.
So, the precautions they took and what we did actually apparently worked, but they also took a whole lot of grief for putting on a mass start race in the middle of a pandemic. And so there's still some hate shaming out there, for stuff like that. Even the races I went and did, which were mostly time trial events. I mean, the cyclocross races I did last year in Utah, the field I was in it was 15 people. They were not 100-person fields. They were 15-person fields. It was a little tiny, I think that's all the people they could
muster
for, Utah cyclocross races. It's just not as big as it is in Oregon or Washington or in Massachusetts.
Let's go back to the race promoter. They are going to be challenged. I mean, they want to come back. They want to do their thing. They want to be out putting on bike races, and that's fantastic. But it felt like before COVID started, we were already losing promoters.
Yes.
And now we're going to come back, and everybody's like, that race that I usually put on in the spring or the early summer, I'll just do it in the fall. I'll do it at the end of the summer. I'll do it at that time of the year because, we should be beyond this whole COVID mess.
That's what you meant is happening in Colorado. Stuff's getting pushed.
That's what's happening with the National Race Series.
Oh, okay.
So all of those big crits that you hear about, like the Twilight crits, those are all going to start happening later
in the year.
Didn't need that phone anyway, or those glasses, whatever that was. That's fun. So everybody's going to be like putting their sights on these few months in the calendar, and there's going to be some cannibalization there.
Yeah.
I really think that it's going to be a bad thing for the race promoters, and I strongly urge people to take a strong look at the calendar, and if there's a bike promotion company that's what they do for a living, and you're just trying to put on your team's fill in the blank race, maybe consider just punting until 2022 so that they can continue to do their race promotion stuff. But even so, there's going to be promoters that are just promoters that are going to be putting on races that are going to be stepping on other people's toes. How do we deal with that situation? I mean, I guess just go to all the races, but even if they're the same weekend, or if you're going to try and build for a massive road race and like the following weekend you're going to go do another massive road race, I mean, is that something that you're going to be able to pull off?
Last year, I signed up for all the races. I did what Matt was talking about. I just signed up for them, and so I have like credits with all these races that didn't happen this year, and the same thing's happening with our calendar. There's 3 races I have signed up. They're all happening the same weekend. The Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder.
Yep.
That's the same weekend as Baker City Cycling Classic.
Yep.
Which is also the same weekend as the Takelma Gravel Grinder. So I got to pick which one to do.
You only get to do
You're going to do them all, right, Lance?
Well, 2 of them are like there's a
Bike-
5-day race, a
from one to the
4-day race.
next.
Yeah, could I just finish one and go to no? That's
time trial series.
Yeah, and they're across the state from each other. So yeah, we're having that same issue. I mean, we had Mike Ripley on a few weeks ago, and that was one of my questions. Like, did you guys kind of try to coordinate calendars? Because it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Because now I can't do the races I want to do for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Well,
So in the same breath too, like there are triathletes that like to go out and do some road bike racing, if I'm not mistaken, correct, Matt? And there's probably going to be a lot of overlap there as well. So we're going to be losing a lot of people. I don't think that we're going to see everybody come back and be standing in line out the door waiting to race their bike again. I think there's going to be this nervous hesitation of people coming back out there and being in these mass groups. So you're going to have that. You're going to have promoters stepping on each other's toes, and then you're going to have different disciplines pulling people. Like, you're a gravel guy, but if there's a cyclocross race, which one are you going to go do?
I'll do the cyclocross race. I'm better at that.
Exactly. So the customer that the promoter had that would have normally come out and done that gravel race, but now that because they're going in the fall where there's a cyclocross race, you're going to go do cyclocross.
I'm going to do the cyclocross
That's where
race.
your heart's at.
Yeah.
That's going to be a common problem, and I think that we're going to see some really low numbers, which begs the question, I mean, are we going to have organizations to come in these years to come? Are we going to have – I mean, the racer's always going to race, and they're the ones that win out of this whole situation. It's like, all right, gee, which one am I going to do?
Right.
The race promoter's like, oh, crap, how am I going to win these people over? And then there's the race organization, like – what are they doing to help out the promoters? What are they doing to kind of spread things out? What are they making the right decisions for the community in terms of letting these promoters put things on the calendars? I guess you can't do anything about it if it's an unsanctioned race, but I don't see a lot of people winning here.
It seems like the Washington state Bicycle Racing Association, they're doing more for the promoters than our local organization seems to be doing.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that.
So, I mean, they've offered some things for the promoters, like, potentially paying for the porta potties or helping out with, the flaggers.
Yeah, stipends for flagging.
Yes.
And maybe doing a little bit better job of race promotion, like trying to get the membership excited. They were offering discounts and deals. If you were to sign up by a certain date, you got your membership for half off.
Yes, correct.
I mean, that was pretty fantastic. And I think that they're doing what they can. Are you seeing this kind of stuff happening in Colorado?
I can't say that I know everything that's happening, but the BRAC is pleading for money, pleading for membership. It's dire. And when you guys talked about, I think the racers win, maybe in the short term, but I think in the long term, it's going to be the most popular events will survive, and that will likely be the biggest backed support.
Right.
Sure.
So like your Garmin Unbound races, that race is going to survive no matter what, but at the cost of what other little races.
Right.
The ability of the smaller promoters to be able to do their thing, because it's not their main shtick. They're not making their main income from that. So if they have to make a choice of, do I risk this amount of money or do I just say, nope, forget it, I'm not going to do it, then I think we're going to lose a lot more events, and it's going to be more dire.
Right.
Do you think it'll be just a matter of like us reshuffling the deck, and maybe promoters go away, but maybe we'll hope and pray and fingers crossed that new promoters come up on the horizon and say, remember that race that we used to do back in the day? Let's put that on again. I mean, there's always that as a possibility, correct? Do you guys understand? You track where I'm going? So like, maybe we'll lose that promoter today, but the future promoter, maybe they can come back into the mix and start putting on something new, or maybe pull from an old.
That's hard to say. I mean, we've lost some like deer races here in the local area that I don't see on the horizon coming back.
Yeah.
So, would a new promoter be able to solve those issues? I don't know. You hope so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm the eternal optimist, but I'm not seeing a lot to be optimistic about, especially after talking with promoters, even like some of the bigger ones that have been doing this for a long time. It's kind of a tough thing for them to put on a bike race in this day and age. It's becoming more and more expensive. Like insurances are going up.
Yes.
You talk with you look at the different race organizations, and the membership numbers are going down. People are starting to venture off and do other things. I know that Matt's talked about this before with respect to triathlon. Like they're losing their membership people or their numbers to all of these different kinds of races, like these CrossFit games or these
mud runs
or Spartan races, and they're losing people because of that. I think that we're losing some of the racers that we would normally need and want and have for the different events and different disciplines we put onto new things. Like everybody's super hot about gravel. I mean, you and I put out a video on YouTube, and our YouTube channel's tiny,
Yep.
and still in comparison, I mean, even our one video that we put out that's had a lot of views was about gravel.
It was about gravel.
And like that's when Lance and I were first doing this stuff. And I'm still trying to figure stuff out. It's got terrible audio, but we covered some good stuff. But that's by far and away our most popular one. And then we just released another one about the BMC Urs, and that's looking like it's going to be pretty popular.
It's getting
as
a
well.
lot of traction too.
And questions and feedback. So gravel's hot right now, and a lot of that stuff is unsanctioned. And the race organizations really haven't like put their claws into it yet and adopted that. A lot of people are just kind of flying by the seat of the pants doing these things, and that's where people are going.
Right.
Is that going to be a death blow to organized, structured road racing?
I don't think it completely will, because people still want to race their road bikes.
True.
I mean, you're going to end up having to travel more, not do as many races.
True.
It's the weekly series that I think will save it. There won't be as many big weekend, road races or longer road races, but a weekly crit series or a weekly circuit series, that might be I think. I don't know. I'm talking out the side of my mouth. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think, and this would be really hard for triathlon to do, but we do a lot of group rides in Colorado, and they're obviously unsanctioned. And, Wednesday Worlds or whatever you're going to call that race. And I see a ton of people get their kicks from that. They want to be fast for that Tuesday morning. They want to be.
Or they're
quick.
chasing Strava segments or something else. Yeah.
So a race organizer, so they're going to look. I teach economics. We're going to get economics on you. So if there's more LaCroix companies, and we see that LaCroix is making a lot of money, then a investor is going to look and say, okay, making flavored bubbly water is really simple. You just add a Skittle and then a gallon of water. So as long as that is simple to do, then people are going to be attracted to that. But putting on a race is not simple.
No.
So anybody that wants to do that is going to have to make a big investment. And if there's no money on the other side, they're not going to take that risk. No matter how much they love the sport, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
Like that's why we see baseball executives, like the Ricketts. I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. They put a bunch of money into the Cubs, and it eventually stopped paying in wins. And they said, well, bring the spending back, bring the spending back.
And then it tanked for decades.
108 years. It's simple economics, and I don't see it. I don't know that there is a happy, bright future for bike racing.
That's sad. It really does break my heart. I mean, I know that locally here we've got the weekly series, the at the Portland International Raceway, and that still does pretty well. And I think at the end of the year, when it's all said and done, when all the dust settles, I think the promoters still make a few bucks off of that, and there's good numbers that show up, and people can go out and they can get their race fix on a flat, closed course and whatnot.
Because they don't need flaggers. They don't need.
Yeah, it's not cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
It's a cross race on a racetrack.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So I just, again, eternal optimist, eternally hopeful that things are going to work, and I want to be a part of the solution and not sit here and gripe about the problem. But there's definitely more that I think that the promoters can do to maybe make this a better future, brighter future. Let's look at the bicycle industry. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It's just so many times we've talked about this, but you got to take a look at it. I'm being told, and I got an email from Cannondale, that there are certain models of Cannondale bicycles that are already sold out for the entire 2022 calendar. These bikes are bikes that we're not supposed to be able to get until January of 2022. They're already sold out for all of 2022.
What's today's date?
It's March.
For those playing along, it's March 15th that we're recording this 2021. So the moral of the story is people are buying bikes. People are out riding. People are out racing. If you look at like the likes of Strava and Zwift and all of the different trainer companies, everybody's got something bike related going on. People are out doing this activity. How do we capture that? How do we capture that audience? Well, Zwift is like, what? We got bike racing free. You don't have to pay for a sign up. You can just go get yourself a Zwift Power account and you can sign up for any race that you want to come be a part of, and it's free.
Path of least resistance.
Exactly.
Yeah,
path of least resistance. So how do we make this the path of least resistance? How do we capture that market? Where did they go, Lance?
I don't know. It's interesting. We don't really even have a decent road race on our local calendar yet. In the future, there's like potential races, but nothing is for certain.
There was Kings Valley Road Race, but that's now been postponed.
I don't know. I don't know what the official. I mean, it's on the calendar, but it's not. There's zero information.
I think somebody told me that it's been possibly postponed. I'm not 100% sure though.
In Washington, they do have 2 road races on the calendar.
I thought it was 3. 2 Vance Creeks and 1 Independence Valley.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There's 3. And when they released registration, there's field limit sizes of 30.
Correct.
Because that's what the phase of Washington will allow at that point. They sold out like within days.
Yeah.
So those 30 field limit sizes are filled. Actually, in the men's.
Yeah.
Yeah. The women's fields haven't sold out yet. Go sign up. But I mean, that's encouraging that people still want to race their bikes.
Yep.
We've got several teammates that are going to travel 3 hours north to do a road race because we miss road racing,
Correct.
So you would hope that there's some promise there, but I don't know how a promoter can. He's not going to make money if his fields are all less than 30 or
Correct.
30 or less.
Well, it just depends on how many waves he can send out, and if he's getting some subsidies from the Washington State Bicycle Racing Association, maybe it makes sense to stay relevant. You got to still stay in everybody's sights,
yeah,
right?
You're right.
So
where's the Washington register? Where's that bike support company getting their money from? Do they have a war chest somewhere?
So the Washington State Bicycle Racing Association is just basically a governing body for the state of Washington.
Sure.
That's a USAC deal. They are very good about their cash management, from what I'm told. They are run by a lot of volunteers, so their overhead is really low. And they have always just been, I don't want to say frugal, but from what I'm told, they've just been really good about always having money in reserves, so that when it came time for something bad to come across the land of bike racing, that they would have the financial wherewithal to make things happen. And that's kind of where we're at now. So they've got monies that they can throw at this, and they've got, their membership that's signing up and throwing money at it. And I'm sure they've got some sponsors and things that they're doing. I don't know them inside and out, but
You know what else helps?
What's that?
Washington has 4 times the population of Oregon.
There's that too.
Is that math?
Yeah, that's math.
Science. Do you know what their membership numbers are? Do they have anything on their website with respect to what their membership numbers look like? I'm sure if we dug in there into their board of director meeting notes and whatnot, we can start to get some numbers on that. But we're all going to just speculate here. I can't imagine that they're much bigger than OBRA, but I don't know. OBRA being the Oregon Bicycle Racing Association.
Can we talk about triathlon, because that's something that doesn't lend itself very well to off the couth gravel type unsanctioned racing.
You're right.
It deals with different challenges. Like there's no there's no respect for there's some other event on this date. They're just gonna. It's such a smaller situation. Triathlete races are not concerned about where, what the cycling races are going to do, because they're not concerned about that affecting their race numbers. I think that they struggle from different problems. I think you also get a little bit more of a novice type athlete that would potentially, the goal for that is can I finish this triathlon type situation? Whereas with bike racing, you have your bike team and you're hoping to, cat up or whatever your goals are. A lot of times it's not to just finish. So I do think that the situation is very different for triathlons. Again, race promoters, they are going to struggle. They're going to struggle with the same problems, right? Like races are canceled, race numbers are going to be we do. And here in the Portland area, it's really one company. And so if they go down, it's, it would look pretty rough around here for triathlon races completely. So again, then you get into a situation where triathletes are a little bit more willing to travel for some of the big stuff, like the Ironman races or maybe a challenge race or something like that. But the rest of them are looking at kind of these local things, which would be difficult if that one company went down. I don't know what it's like in Colorado as far as triathlon goes, but it might be similar.
Yeah, I'm just interested in, is the demand still as high, you think, pre-COVID, or do you think triathletes have left the sport and are doing different things?
I think you've got two things going on. You've got a big group of triathletes that are just, they were told they can't race, they can't do what they want to do this summer, and so they started doing other things like gravel riding or mountain biking or whatever, and now they're like, hey, I like this is what I'm going to do. Or maybe it's something completely different. Maybe, they start a YouTube channel or they're mountain climbing or something. Who knows? But I think a lot of people are going to fall into that. The numbers for triathlon were already kind of sketchy. There was, triathlon numbers really kind of peaked in maybe 2016 or so. And they've been kind of on a downward spiral from 2016 to 2019. Really, you had this huge ramp up when it was added as an Olympic sport. People saw that, in the London Olympics, and it was hey, this is a cool thing. I want to try this. And so you had this nice big ramp up, all the way until it peaked. And then it hasn't been doing great. And then now it's going to drop off a cliff, right? Because they're, you go from not doing great to no races. And, if the question is well, how is it going to do in 2021? We don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come back half the volume. I don't know. I have no idea. It'll be hard. And we won't know until the whole season goes through and we start to look at the numbers after the fact. But I don't think it will be a positive for our sport. I would be very surprised if the numbers are up compared to 2019.
I have a follow-up question. So an Ironman is a huge undertaking. People train for 9 months, 10 months, a year. And once it's done, a lot of people don't necessarily stick with the sport. They kind of do
Yep.
it and then I'm out.
Bail.
Do you see a danger in that, or do you see a sustainability issue in that? Is that part of why the sport's dropped off?
So that's a problem that kind of predates all of this, right? So it's like it's super common. People want you've probably seen like the Ironman tattoos and things like that. It's like people want the fact that they can say they've done it and then they're good. And I think like for my YouTube channel, the channel is like, hey, we want to promote the sport of triathlon. We want to get through or past that, and it's almost a matter of like, how do you tackle the sport? If people want to just do it once and be done, that's fine, but it's kind of like, hey, there is some beauty to this sport. There is some beauty to running and swimming and biking. Like, we all get it. Like, we love being out on our bike, and it's kind of like we want people to make this a lifestyle. The one and done thing doesn't really help in that regard that much, and kind of okay with it because you do have an influx of money into the sport, and that does help a lot of the the general I'd say like ability to grow of the sport. At the same time, you want those people to either catch the bug and kind of say like, I want to stick with this, these are things that I like to do, and it's tough to make that switch, and I think obviously the race promoters would prefer that too, because then you've got recurring athletes coming to your races as opposed to this one and done type situation. But yeah, that's been a problem with our sport, and it's been a bad problem. I don't think it's the same. You don't see that the same with cycling. You get more people that are in it for their lifetime in some regards, and I don't see it as much in running either. Like the running side of things, you feel like I think there may be some of that with a marathon. People want to finish a marathon, but I think Ironman is this weird thing where it has this kind of label and connotation to it. I don't know. Like, it's like, oh, you're tough. You did an Ironman, I guess. Like, I guess, now you're done. So that's something that I've tried to push back on my channel, and just been like, don't do triathlon one time and take 3 years, build up for an Ironman. Sure, great, do it. That's awesome. But like over 3 years, you're going to fall in love with the sport. There's just so much beauty to each of these individual sports. And I think all of us get that, right? Like, we all talk about Saturday ride was Saturday ride was super sunny and it was super beautiful. I mean, we all were like in our element, and that's what's great about our sport. And we just need to get that message out to some of these people that are like, I just want the tattoo, or I just want the race medal. That's hard. That's tough.
Do you think that they fully walk away from all of triathlon, or just Ironman, just the long, like, grinding, 10, 12, 14, 15-hour event?
I think I'm sure there's percentages, but sadly, I think a lot of it is they walk away from the entire sport.
Really?
Some people will be like, I really like cycling. I'm gonna do cycling, or
Industry.
Another group will be like,
sorry.
Yeah, another group will be like, I really like the running part of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll switch that. But not as many like the swimming for some reason. But I think a lot of people don't, they don't go back and they do all the small triathlon races, the sprints in the Olympics after they've done an Ironman. I think that, someone like Evan, who's like in it for life, he'll do an Ironman or whatever at some point, but like the Olympic races, he's there to race. He's there to improve his time. He's there for the thick of it. He's always going to swim, bike, and run. And I'm kind of like that too. I definitely have my like running background or whatever, but like, I'm probably always going to swim and bike. So, it's not necessarily about the medals, or, I don't have an Ironman tattoo or anything like that, but I guess the day is young. The day is young. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I just think
it's a little depressing.
Yeah, we just got to get everybody excited to get back out and doing all of this stuff. I think that's first things first. Got to get past all this COVID stuff.
Yeah.
This COVID thing has really been a thorn in everybody's side, unfortunately, and it is what it is. But we'll get there eventually. I just hope that we can all, land on our feet when it's all said and done. And I hope that bike racing can come back around. And we've just got to figure out a way to, say, hey, shiny object, look over here, bike racing. Because there's a lot of people that are going to be new to the sport that are fantastic athletes that are competitive or maybe want to just try their hand at some bike racing stuff, and we just got to do our best to get them involved. And I think that that's something that I know that the local bike racing organization doesn't do a very good job of. I don't know about Colorado, if they do a really good job of like reaching into just the general cycling community, the non-racing community, and attract them into bike racing, or if they just look at that like, oh, those guys are too young, too fast, too lean, too everything, and I'm not going to do that. And I don't know what WSBA is doing, but what are race organizations and promoters doing to attract people other than like put up a flyer at the local bike shop and say, come check out my bike race?
That's a good question.
I mean, first and foremost, teams.
Targeted Facebook ads.
Teams need to be ever present at all of the local rides. They need to let people know what bike racing is about. They need to put on weekly rides that attract people that are going to want to come out there and kind of mix it up and have fun and go hard and kind of leverage the whole Strava thing into like what a bike race is. But bike racing on the whole, like for road racing especially, there are still events that are absolutely monstrously big, like STP, 10,000 people.
Yep.
You know, we got the pedal Century down here. That's 3,000 people. We've got Reach the Beach. I'm sure that's a couple thousand people.
Yep.
There's those kinds of events all over the place, and people are coming out and doing that because, you know, they like to ride their bike. And a lot of those people probably don't even know what OBRA or BRAC or WSBA is. And
true.
What if we had like a Fondo? More Fondos on the schedule where like you let the racers go.
More inclusive.
Yeah, it was more inclusive. Like you let the racers go first, and then everybody else go after that, and then people are going to see that, and then you've got the two communities kind of commingling, and you can kind of have like a friendly come on out. We're going to do this thing, and the racers and competitive people can go do that. The people that want to do their just leisurely thing, they can do that, and they're going to financially support the promoter. Promoter's going to make some money because now we're not talking about like, oh gosh, I hope we get to 150 or 200 people. We're talking about thousands of people.
And it would save a lot of people.
Yeah, and then you don't necessarily have to have them follow the same route. You know, you can go out there and do your race, and maybe it can be a close course, and the other people do some bigger route, and they're not stepping on each other's toes, running each other over. I mean, you've just got to start thinking outside of the box. Like, how do we get all of these people interested in the same thing to come together and look at what each other are doing?
Yeah.
So
the Lotoja race, the race from Logan to Jackson, 200-mile race, there's a different course for the racers than for the riders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want them commingling. You don't want people getting run over or hurt. So
do something similar to that.
That kind of format, I think, me personally, is what we need to start adopting. We need to start looking at that so that we can bring this massive group of people that have bought up all of the bikes on the market and, want to go out there and start trying their hand at something new. We need to get them out there, and the teams need to help make that happen and support the promoters and kind of start pulling it together. I think that mountain biking will be just fine. I think the gravel scene will be just fine.
Yep.
Time trials never really stopped too much, so
right.
they'll be fine for the most part. But road racing, that I think that they need to start doing things different. They can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. It's just not going to happen. It's a new day and a new age. Anything else you guys want to add to this?
I think the Peloton, the whole Peloton craze is like this, like
boom.
Yeah, all of us are like, oh crap, Peloton. But you know what? We need to be like the exact opposite. We need to be like, hell yeah, Peloton. Those people need to step outside onto the real, road.
You must be so fast. You should come out to our group run on Wednesday nights. You're gonna crush all of us.
I mean, you're laughing. I am dead serious. I think we need to be like, that we talk about like putting the local flyer at the, at the local bike shop. Like we need to be like, hey, Peloton people, like step outside. And yeah, you're probably have some fitness, and like that means you can ride with us, and we can have fun, and we can do all these cool things. And then the next step is maybe try road racing or whatever the next step is. But like that is a market that's just massive. And I mean, we talk about like all these new people that are new on bikes with the pandemic, but there's probably even more so of this Peloton craze that's going on right now. I mean, it's that unbelievable phenomenon that I don't think, cycling teams or race promoters have even really thought of how to tap into.
Matt, you're 100%
but it's there.
correct.
Yeah. We don't know what to do with it.
We need to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it yet, but like I had at least an hour-long conversation with my neighbor about Peloton and how he's like finishing in the top 10% of these Peloton workouts, and I'm like, let's go ride.
And
it's not going to be like, and it's not like, hey, I'm gonna
large.
I'm not gonna like crush them or play. It's not about that. Like, I just want to have a new person to ride with. You know, it's like let's do it, and I want him to be passionate about cycling. You know, not just on an indoor Peloton thing, but like outside in the real world. So it's possible.
So
it's possible.
Matt, real quick, you're a triathlete. I'm a cyclist. Lance is a cyclist. Kit, you're a cyclist.
Yes.
Not a triathlete, right?
Not anymore. I retired.
Gotcha.
I did
Retired.
half Ironman and I quit.
What do you call a person who only rides on a Peloton?
A spinner?
No, it's not a spinner. We got to come up with a name. We got to coin a term for them so we can start inviting said people out to our races.
Peloton elite.
Pelotoner?
Pelotononian.
Pelotelite?
Name to come soon. Wee. This was a good conversation, you guys. I think it was good. I think that we come out of this with some good points and some good questions. But I think that some people need to start putting on their thinking caps and thinking about how to think outside of said box and attract these people and help the promoters. And yeah,
Come to the Tear Your Legs Off dialed ride on Wednesday night.
that's fun.
If you're new to cycling, that's the place to go.
That's the place to go. Come
That's where you
line
want
up
to, yeah.
with a bunch of other idiots.
All right, so let's jump into one last thing. Kit, this is where we get to say anything. You get to. I'm not going to make you go first. Not going to put you on the spot just yet, but you get to say anything. One last thing before we call this a day. People calling me here. Sorry about that, BMC. Just sent BMC to voicemail.
MC to voicemail?
Yeah.
Is that a smart choice?
Bring me cookie.
I think that my iPad did without me even doing anything. But anyhow, sorry, Andrew. Matt, you want to start us off with one last thing?
Sure. I'm talking all kinds of heart rate monitors for the next. Well, the video isn't out yet. It actually, I haven't even made it, but I'm going to try to have it made and out before like this podcast goes live. So
Ooh,
this
my God,
podcast is recorded.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Oh no! This is the
Eight heart
this
rate
is just like
Yeah, 8.
this is
His
just
eyes
the
are up
beginning,
here.
right?
Do you have a ticker fit?
I could
armband
wear
in there?
those and not have to wear clothes. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah,
Matt,
this
I-
is the thing.
Do you wear all of them at one time?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can we get a picture of that?
You
for
should
the
see.
next podcast?
This is just the ones that I'm not wearing right now.
How soon
so
before
I
you're
have
running up and down your street in a Speedo wearing those so I can tell my daughter
Oh,
to
yeah.
not go over to her
That.
your neighbor's house?
You're gonna want to get a video of this. No, I even this weekend I was just doing stupid stuff and my neighbors were like with their phones like recording like here he goes again doing something stupid. But that's for a different video which will come out soon enough. The heart rate monitor video, yeah, the goal would be to have that one out before this podcast goes live on the podcast. YouTube video, yes, we're doing those live streaming these. But this particular heart rate monitor video is basically all the data that I've kind of collected over the past couple months on heart rate monitors, kind of which one is the best in early 2021. That's working title. If you guys have ideas for titles, let me know. And yeah, so it's just kind of a big collection of stuff. So most affordable, most features, and kind of my favorite heart rate monitors currently on the market. So I've got a lot of stuff. And I am going to give one away because I got too many heart rate monitors. I should probably be giving away like 10 of them because
Nice.
I literally have like a dozen heart rate
You're
monitors.
going to
so.
disinfect them?
No, in fact, just the opposite.
Reinfect them.
Sure, charge you
I'm
more
going
for
to
the
disinfect.
DNA on them.
I'm going to re-and-sweat. It's
Nice.
really quite gross.
So, Matt, this past weekend I ran into you. Are you still under embargo to talk about what it is that you and I briefly talked about on Saturday?
Yes, probably.
All right. Well, we'll pass on that. It's cool stuff though that Matt got to play with this weekend, and I'm quite jealous. He's becoming Mr. Big Time now. He's like there's DC Rainmaker, and then not a too far second place down.
Wait.
Mr.
I'm
Matt
way
McGrath.
above DC Rainmaker.
Oh,
Your English is better.
who?
I think he speaks like 8 languages, but yeah.
Matt and Ray are actually becoming friends. Kind of funny.
I like that.
They-
We're
they
we're,
know
big,
each
we're
other.
BFFs.
Are
Yeah,
you guys going to race?
Oh,
Yeah,
who
we
wins
will.
in a race?
it's an eating competition, and
Awesome.
it's gonna be a close battle.
Cool. All right. Kit, one last thing.
Yeah. So shameless plug. I work with a charity called Go for Graham, and we're all about mental health and wellness and how sport helps you get there.
Yes.
And then I'm also I'm a cancer survivor, and we also just lost a glorious human to a very evil brain cancer, very unusual brain cancer as well. And I want you guys to know that in this pandemic, one thing that has totally taken a huge hit are charities and research. So I understand a lot of us are not secure in our jobs, but if you are in a place of security and you feel able, I recommend that you find a charity that you support and donate to them and continue to donate them, because charities have been hit really hard by the pandemic as well.
Now, is there a particular charity name that you want to toss out there right now that maybe we can post up in the comments or the links?
Oh, heavens. I don't know. I know. I've gone brain dead.
Tell you what, how about I give you a minute
It's
or
the
two?
one on your kit that you were talking with me about, right?
Well, Go for Graham. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the website for that that people can go to?
It would be so like GO and then the number 4 and then Graham at .org.
Graham?
Yeah, Graham.
G-R-A-M?
GRHAM.
Okay,
yes.
that's why I ask, because I can't spell.
I can't spell either.
Great.
Dyslexic.
Sweet. Go check that out.
Love
We
that.
will post that up when the podcast comes out on Wednesday on our Facebook page, and
Yep.
we'll put it in the comments of the old YouTube channel once that's all done and posted and rendered. Fun stuff. So, Mr. Evan Price, welcome back to the table.
Oh, I was here the whole time. I was just barely on a screenshot there and just got really quiet for a bit.
He is that pale.
And then, the light was just hit me at the wrong angle, so I was see-through. Yes.
One last thing, bud.
My one last thing is that we've got a budding little juniors triathlon crew that seems to be starting to bubble up, which is pretty exciting. Anybody who has interested kids in the sport of triathlon or in any of the 3 sports, don't be afraid to reach out to us. It's good that the kids kind of get a group training environment. Triathlon is not a highly attended sport across the country. Neither is cycling, as much as I love cycling and triathlon. So if we can give these kids a little bit of a group, and if you have kids that are interested, I think it'd be awesome if in this community we could build a team, because there are some junior triathlon teams that have fallen off recently, and it is kind of sad to see. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's
It
not
is.
a lot of coaching for them here in the
No.
Pacific Northwest. I think what
no,
was
there's
it?
not.
I know a
One
couple.
one coach in Bend, and now
Yeah.
we've got Evan Price.
And Evan
Who's-
Price's schedule is
is
slightly full. So there's.
So
But yes, we have organized a group that is very these are some self-sufficient kids. They're way smarter than I was when I was 16, 17, 18. So yeah,
get
not
some
hard.
go-getters. Yeah.
not hard. Yeah, low bar, very, very low bar. But yeah, it's a good budding group, and I'm excited for them.
Yeah, we've got some good help that just came on board with us as well. Thank God, because I suck at that because I'm so stinking busy and Evan's so busy. So, Misty Wick, thank you so much.
Yes,
Yep. You are a
kids
godsend.
kids deserve more than the time that I can give right now. So yes, that's for sure.
Good things on the horizon for the juniors program here. So cool. Lance, one last thing.
I'm going to race my bike again this
don't
weekend.
say.
Big surprise. I'm doing a mountain bike race called Echo Red to Red. It is our first mountain bike race on the Obra calendar. Go figure. We'll have many, many teammates out there
Yes.
racing.
Is that time trial, or did they switch that over to mass?
It is
Or
time
waived?
trial.
Time trial?
It is still time
Okay.
trial. So there still are field limits, and it is time trial format. So a little bit different than years past, but we are going to race.
Paige Edwards, we had her on about a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Her dad was asking me some questions last night about it. I'm like, I don't know. He was saying something about there's going to be, I think, 10 pro women there racing it. And
fantastic.
Paige is just giddy.
It's
just super
sold
excited.
out.
Yeah.
So
And I was wondering, based on the numbers, are they doing a wave start or mass start, or they're still sticking with the time trial
they're
format?
still sticking with time trial. As far as I know, still sticking with time trial.
Gotcha.
So that should be interesting. It's in the little tiny town of Echo, Oregon, which is not far from. I knew that was coming. This is not far from Pendleton, so it's like 3 hours away from the Portland area, but it sold out, so it should be fun. Lots of teammates going to be there. Should be a good time.
Yeah. I didn't get on that list.
I know.
Not coming. I don't know.
Makes me sad.
I'm sorry, dude.
Once you did.
My one last thing.
He'll be on a road race.
Yeah.
Very soon.
So my one last thing is that we are getting back to our outdoor rides. We've already talked about it. We're going to tear some legs off. So did we come up with a name yet,
The
guys?
Leg Ripper.
The leg ripper?
The Fluffy Bunny.
The fluffy bunny leg ripper
The Pink Camisole.
The quad tickler.
quad tickler?
We have no good name yet.
Not the quad tickler. Don't pick that one. Please don't pick that one.
How about just the tickler? The
Oh,
tickler.
How about this?
We can't know because that's what me, Dustin, and David tried to call one of our rides. It's always like, is this inappropriate? I was like,
Wait,
it was not until somebody made it.
It is
so-
inappropriate now.
What about Pesticue?
Pesticue.
Oh, that's not bad. Or just, and then in
Watermelon.
parentheses, watermelon.
Pamplemousse.
The watermelon.
Pamplemousse is still my favorite. Actually, pamplemousse.
Oh, jeez. How
No
about
good
this?
names.
If
We
you
got
want to
nothing.
find out what we named said ride, you can go to Strava and you can join the Dialed Cycling Club page. And
There
you'll
you
get an
go.
invite, and it'll have the title right there in the.
We should make that a Patreon vote thing. If you're a Patreon right now,
Ooh.
comment on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Whichever one we like the most, we'll pick.
I like that.
Yeah.
Evan
I like
Price came up with
Because
something
we,
good.
oh my god, I contributed today. Kit was giving me crap all day for not ever contributing to anything. So
Kid seizing. Hit the Control Alt Delete right there.
Restart.
Oh, Evan gets a pat on the back. So, well, cool. We will post that up though very soon, and that will be a ride that we will push all the way through the summer. And somebody else asked me, "Hey, you remember that ride that you guys did before pandemic times on Fridays?" I'm like, "Yeah, the Fog Hat ride.
Fog Hat Friday.
Fog Hat Friday.
Slow ride.
Foghorn
Take it
Leghorn.
easy.
Yeah.
that
No,
would be
not
great for
Foghorn
some of
Leghorn.
our newer
100% coming back.
I see.
Yep, we've got a
Yeah.
lot of newbies, and that's going to be a great way for us to connect with that community so we can say, hey, we're going to go nice and slow.
Nice.
We're going to just talk your ear off about bike racing the whole
Yep.
time. So those will be
At
starting
12
back up.
miles an hour.
Yeah, those
They'll
will be.
want to go faster.
Yes. As soon as we have some more consistently good weather on Fridays, we'll start bringing those back as well. So, and then, like always, we've got our Saturday rides. Matt, what video do you have coming up this coming week? Is it just the heart rate monitor? Or you're still working
Heart
on
rate
it?
monitors, yep, heart rate monitors, and then a couple other things. I've got one where I'm going to actually talk about a lot of pro triathlon YouTube channels that'll come up next week as well, and then some future product announcements, and then cool stuff. A lot of fun stuff coming up on the channel. I'm really excited.
Can Lance and I book you for a showing here? What's your fee?
Yeah.
For
I'm
one of our
Ooh, yeah, no,
podcasts,
too much.
or not podcasts, but one of our YouTube videos. You
Yeah,
available?
I'm happy to help. Yeah, in fact, Lance mentioned something about like talking about Garmin versus Wahoo, and I was like, my ears perked up, and I was like, I've got two products from Garmin that are on the shelf behind me, and it's like the 530 and the 1030 that need to be
Okay.
tested and reviewed and sent off to some lucky winner or whatever
So-
it is. So
Here's what I want to do, if you're okay with it. You're not going to come into our studio. We're going to get on bikes, and we're going to do a YouTube video on bikes.
Yes.
I've got all the microphones. I've
Sounds
got
great.
everything set up. I've got everything that we can do to make this thing happen. I think it could be kind of fun. So if, Matt, you're open
how
to
many
that,
heart rate monitors should I wear?
14.
all of them.
It's a bring your own heart rate
14.
monitor. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, this thing's getting a little long in the tooth. Let's say goodbye.
We're an hour and a half in. Holy cow.
All right, thanks for watching the
Evan
Dial
talked too
Podcast
much.
on YouTube. Thanks for listening on your YouTube platform. And again, if you want to become a Patreon yourself, go to Lance over here playing air guitar. Go to YouTube.
I'm doing the lead out music.
For the record, Cassie's actually watching right now, which means that she might actually hear the
The
outro.
Hear the outro, the bumper music.
If you want to become a Patreon or if you want to help support the show, you can go to dialpodcast.com. If you want to watch the YouTube version of this podcast live stream, you can go to youtube.com/dialcycling. One more time, Matt, where can people go to watch all of your glorious videos?
YouTube.com/MLegrand. Don't go to the other Matt Legrand. I mean,
Unless
do,
you want to hear
do
great
go
music.
to his.
Yeah.
I
Unless
mean,
you want to see
unless-
a six-pack and great music.
Yes.
Kit, thanks for coming on today. Everybody else, thank you for listening and watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.